Today I will be making homemade bread. So you will need flour. You could buy any kind of flour. You could buy wheat, unbleached, bleached, any kind of flour. I like buying this flour right here. And you will need avocado oil. You could use any kind of oil. Just don't use coconut oil. If you buy the really natural one, because they get hard when it's cold. And you will need salt, and you will need honey. You could put either honey or sugar, or you don't need to put sugar or honey if you don't want to. You just could put the salt. So I'm making a double the recipe, so I'm making 8 cups of flour. So you're gonna get 8. If you want to do half of it, if you have a small family, or you make 4 cups. And then you will need 1/4 cup of oil, or if you're gonna make half, you could use 1 tablespoon. And for the salt, you're gonna need 2 teaspoons. If you're gonna make half, you use 1 tablespoon. And then for the honey, you use 1/4 of a cup, like this. And if you're gonna use sugar, you're gonna use either one teaspoon, or you're gonna use a tablespoon. Depends on your preference of the bread. And then you're gonna need yeast. You're gonna need yeast. You gotta buy this one, the fast rising, or this one. And you're gonna put it on 2 cups of warm water, and you're gonna let it activate. You're gonna let it foam or bubble, and you're gonna, with that mixture of this with water and the yeast, you're gonna put either the honey or the sugar. And after you mix the salt in here, because you're gonna put the salt with the flour. And after that, you're gonna put the water, the warm water, and the yeast, and the sugar or honey, and you're gonna put the oil together. So the wet ingredients, that is gonna be the oil and the water with this, and the honey or sugar. You're gonna mix it together, because the honey and the sugar help the yeast and the bread to rise more. So those are the ingredients for the homemade bread that is healthy and better for you, and it doesn't have those bad ingredients that the supermarket bread has. And you're gonna be saving money too. Also on the bread, I put flax seed, or I put this super seed that has chia, flax seed, and this hip seed. So that is to add fiber and protein to the bread. So I like to put this for this one. I use either 1/4 of a cup, or I use half a cup. So I use half of this. See the measurement? I use half of this, and I put the seed mixture with the flour. Since I'm doubling the recipe, I'm gonna use 1 cup of the seeds, and I'm gonna put it in here to mix it. And also I'm getting 2 teaspoons of salt, and put it in here like this. And then we're gonna mix it. So you're gonna mix it all up, the seeds, because the seeds gonna give you fiber and protein, and it's gonna give you make the bread more healthier. And you're gonna mix the salt and the seed and the flour all together like this. I like to mix it like this, or you could get a beater and mix it by hands. And then you're gonna make sure that everything is well mixed. So then we for the cup of water, I put 3 cups. I put 3 cups since I'm making double. I said 2 in the beginning, but you could put 2 or you could put 3 cups. It depends on how the flour is, but the flour has to be like it has to have a consistency of like of a wet, but not too dry and not too wet. I don't know how to describe it. But then we're gonna warm the water up a little bit so we could put the yeast and the honey or sugar to add onto the dry ingredients. And then after you warm up the water, you're gonna put the yeast. You don't have to warm up the water for the fast rising one, but I like to warm it up. And then you're gonna put the yeast like this. You're gonna mix it. Until it bubbles and foams. And then you're gonna add oil. You could add either 2 tablespoons of oil or you could add 1/4. So I'm gonna add 1/4 cups of oil. Since I don't have honey, because if you want to add honey, you put 1/4 cup of honey, or you could use 1. It depends on your preference of how you like to make the bread. And then I'm gonna get 1 tablespoon of sugar. So I'm gonna get this sugar right here, and I'm gonna put 2 tablespoon of sugar, and then I'm gonna mix it like that until it foams, and then you're gonna let it sit for about 5 minutes, and you're gonna let it bubble. Shake it real well because the sugar, it helps the yeast. And don't let it warm up the water, but don't let it too hot, because if you let it too hot, you're gonna kill the yeast, and then the yeast won't foam up. After sitting for 5 minutes, it's gonna bubble like this. You see, it's gonna foam. And then you're gonna add the wet ingredient with the dry. I like making like a little hole like this, so I could put the wet ingredient. I like making a little hole. So you're gonna make a little hole. You could make this by hands too, knead by hands, or you could do it on this right here. See how it's foaming? Now we're gonna add the wet with the dry. And then you're gonna put it to mix. People also, I saw some recipes that people put eggs and milk, and that makes the bread more soft. But I don't like make it like that, because I feel like with the milk, you could put either almond. I already made it with almond milk, or you could make it with cow's milk, and you could add eggs. Some people use chia chia with water, and that makes like a egg consistency. So some people use they want to do like a vegan, but I like to make just flour and water and the yeast and the salt and the sugar or honey. Sometimes I don't even add sugar or honey, so I like to make it more simple. For me is better, so I don't like to add other ingredients because then the bread won't last for a long time. And then you could put it in the refrigerator and you slice the bread like in a slice, and you could leave it in a refrigerator and you could eat it in a week or two. And to make the bread, you're going to use this kind of piece right here, this tool or whatever it's called. And then you're going to mix it all up. And you're going to mix that all up for like about 5 to 10 minutes. It depends on the mixture, you know. And then you're going to let it mix. And then after it's done here, I'm going to show you the next step. The next step, we're going to grease a bowl. Either you could use a spray like this. Either you could use the spray, or you could use this and grease the bowl, or you could use your hands. I like to either spray or use that spatula thing, brush, to grease the bowl. After we grease the bowl, we're gonna put the mixture of the bread into the grease bowl. You're gonna form the dough into a ball like this, and you're gonna let it sit for an hour and a half and let it grow. So it's gonna grow, it's gonna rise. After it rises, either you could leave it for another hour to rise again, but you have to knead it. I'm gonna show it after an hour. Or you could already put it on the bread form, and then you have to grease it and put some flour and shape it already to the form to make the bread or container, whatever it's called. I don't have those bread bread form or something like that. I don't have that bread thing because I had another I had one that was glass, and it was like half of this, like this, and you could put on the bread. But since I don't have anymore and I can't buy it, and you know, because we're in a tight budget with all the inflation, I use this to make the bread. I mold 4 pieces of the bread of this, and then I make the bread and let it rise. But first you have to grease this right here, and you have to put flour so it won't get stuck. You're gonna cover the bread like this. The bread dough, you're gonna cover the bread dough with a cloth or a dish towel like this. It could be thick, it's better thick one. And you're gonna let it grow. You're gonna let it rise for an hour. So an hour and a half. It depends. And then it's better when the place is really warm, because then it will rise even more. So and then you let it sit for an hour and a half, and let it rise. And then you're gonna either you're gonna knead it and form it to bread rolls and put it in the container to put it on the oven to cook. To bake. This is how the bread dough rises. It gets this big. So it's ready to be kneaded again and folded, and then put into the bread pan to get baked. So now it passed over an hour, like an hour and 20 minutes. So the dough has rised to this. Look how big it is. And then we're gonna put it in here. We're gonna mold it. And after you put it here molded, you're gonna let it rise again for an hour and a half. And then after that, you're gonna put it to bake. I don't have those bread or loaf pan that is called. I don't know what's it called. I don't even know what this is called. But I make it on this. But it still the bread still come out good, you know, when you cut it up. You're gonna roll the loaves, the dough, and you're gonna roll it like this. I didn't roll like a perfect, but it's gonna rise again because we're gonna cover it with a towel, with a cloth, and we're gonna let it rise again for like an hour and a half. And then it's gonna grow again. After it grows, that's when you're gonna put it to bake. And you're gonna put it to bake on the oven. Now the oven, I'm not gonna tell you how much to put it for the temperature because it depends on the oven. Some of it could be 300, some of it could be 350, some of it could be 400. It depends on the oven. I use an electric oven to bake the bread. You can also use a regular oven. So I use this oven right here to bake. Right now I'm making a cake. But you could use traditional ovens to to bake. You could use traditional oven. This one is electric. You could use gas. I prefer gas, but it depends on the house that you rent or buy. So the dough will rise, grow like this into a bread. I don't have those bread pan, so I use this. It still works. So now I'm gonna put it on the oven to bake. Now I'm baking the breads. So I roll it like this into 4, and it made 4 bread loaves. Like I said, I don't have the loaf or bread pan, the little form, whatever it's called. So I use this. I don't know what this glass thing is called. Usually you make chicken or turkey inside those or anything to bake a casserole. But I use it to make the bread since my loaf pan that had glass, it broke. So I use this instead. But it's still the bread rises normally and it grows, and then afterward, when it's done, I'll show you how it comes out. And that's the bread rising. Look how it gets really big. Delicious, healthy, good for you bread that is homemade, made with real ingredients that is good for you. Nothing of artificial, chemical, extra ingredients that the supermarket breads, local breads has. This is made with real food. So this right here is the result of the bread. And then you cut it into pieces. And you put it in the refrigerator. And it will last you about 2 weeks if you put it in the refrigerator, or a week and a half. If you leave it out on the counter, it'll last you like a week. And then you could cut it, or you could cut it like this or like this. And this is the result of the bread. You cut it into pieces. You cut it into slices like this. I like to cut it like this instead of the other way, because I like it longer. And then you cut it into pieces like this. And then you toast it. And it's nice. And it's nice and soft. It's nice and soft. The bread. It's nice and fluffy and soft. And then you toast it like this. And you make it for breakfast or whatever time you want to eat it. So this is the result of the bread. And then I put it like this and I put it in the refrigerator and it lasts for like a week or two. See? And it's nice and soft. I like to cut it the long way. And then you have a delicious homemade bread. And you could put seeds to have more fiber and protein.